Hey, I was looking for you. I was expecting you to be here today, and I'm so excited that you are. Hey, I'm Lou Vickery, and I got a wonderful story I want to share with you today about an individual I met over 40 years ago, and I still remember him. His name is Jim Fowler, and I want to share his marvelous story with you. The story begins on a cold, snowy day in February when I arrived at Logan Airport in Boston. I was there to do a sales and marketing presentation to a large automotive group. When I arrived at the location where the event was going to take place, I met Jim Fowler. He met me with an enthusiastic welcome, and he stuck out his left hand to shake my hand. And I'm left-handed. I thought maybe someone had told Jim that I was left-handed. But after I shook his left hand, I noticed why he didn't extend the right hand, because he didn't have a right arm. It took me just a few seconds to kind of digest what had just happened. But then I asked him, Jim, you got an unusual story, don't you? We had a few minutes before we were scheduled to start the event, and I asked him if we could go to his office and visit. I had to hear his story, and he agreed. And so we went to his office and we sat down, and I noticed that on the way to his office, he walked with a slight limp. So as we made our way there, I kept thinking, well, I wonder why he has this limp. No right arm and a limp. After reaching his office and making ourselves comfortable, Jim told me his story. He served in Vietnam, and while he was there, he stepped on a lineman, and he lost both his right arm and his right leg. And the doctors told him he was lucky, because they said if it had been on his left side, it probably would have gotten his heart, and he should consider himself lucky to be alive. Well, he didn't see it that way. Jim says, all I could think about, what kind of life will I have? What will be there for me? And he felt sorry for himself. He was filled with self-pity as the days he laid in a hospital bed during the months that followed the accident. Jim spent very little time socializing, except for a young fellow named Wilson McGregor, who was a single amputee. He had lost a leg. It was Wilson who would eventually play a key role in changing Jim's attitude and his life. When Jim was told he would be able to receive an artificial leg but no arm, he was shocked. You see, the doctors explained there wasn't enough shoulder there to attach an arm, an artificial arm. His body was so mangled. The news about his arm drove Jim deeper into a depressed state. Realizing, I guess, how difficult it would be to learn to walk on an artificial leg without the balance afforded by an arm on that side of the body. So it took Jim's hope away. Consequently, he virtually refused to cooperate with the doctors and nurses, and his progress was slow. But then Wilson stopped by his room one day, and Wilson told him, Jim, I'm going home. And before he departed, Wilson said this to Jim. Jim Fowler, you can lay around and feel sorry for yourself and do little or nothing with your life. But you have what it takes to walk out of here and enjoy a good life. Jim wasn't buying it. But let's fast forward 15 years. And here I was sitting with Jim in his office, listening to his story. Over that period of time, he had experienced immense success. It was quite evident that he had taken Wilson's words to heart. And I asked Jim, what did you think Wilson meant by his comments? Particularly the comment, you have what it takes. And Jim told me this, Lou, I realized I still had the three things that are most important to a human being. I had my head to think with, I had my heart to feel with, but most importantly, I had my intestinal fortitude to get me started and keep me going. You know, Jim Fowler exemplifies what we can accomplish when we realize that we have what it takes to tackle life with all the gusto at our disposal, regardless of the difficulties we face or have faced. Before I left, Jim gave me a list of what he called the 13 things of how to live life fully. I like 13. When I was playing ball, I wore 13. I think it's a lucky number. But here's what the 13 things that Jim shared with me. Think realistically and keep things in perspective. Focus on your strengths and not on your limitations. Open your mind to new ideas. See problems as opportunities. Control your emotions. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. Accept change when change is needed. Establish a regular routine for non-essentials. And I asked him a little bit about that. Establish a routine for non-essentials. He says, Lou, there are things we just need to do regularly. I put on my right shoe first. I put my right leg in my pants because that's the only one I have. Even though he had an artificial one, right? But Dean, think in terms of a regular routine. Have a physical outlet and learn the art of doing nothing. And then he put on emphasis on occasion. Don't do it all the time. But you need to establish how to just learn how to, as he mentioned to me, the 3 R's: rest, relaxation, and recreation. Number 10 on the list is listen attentively and respectfully. Manage your time wisely. Laughter is therapeutic. And lastly, leave a legacy that outlives you. Some great thoughts. Jim Fowler is no longer with us. I stayed in touch with him for years. There may be a Jim Fowler in your life. But I can tell you this. Life can be lived fully, regardless of our circumstances. If you're still living, you need to be still improving. The words of Zig Ziglar. I'm Lou Vickery. This can be found in my book, Reach Beyond and Find Your Path to Success. Book number 20 in the Vickery Library. You can find it at awiseword.life/library. And don't forget, tell your friends and your family and your associates about us. Maybe there's something that can be of interest and to help to them. Until we meet again, you keep that smile on your face, you keep that happiness in your heart and keep optimism on your tongue. That's a legacy that's worth living. See you soon.